Hello, everyone. Welcome to Fundamental Moral Theology. This is Professor Stephen Boza. I thought it would be helpful to you to give you a preview of what your final exam is going to look like in 2 months. I think this will help you to reduce some stress level, to give you an idea as to what to look out for as the weeks progress, so that you can come in fully prepared and do a really great job with this test, which I know you're capable of doing. The final exam will consist of two sections. One will be a section of 5 short answer questions, and the other is a case study essay. These questions focus on the various premises and principles of Catholic moral theology. We don't just make a decision as to what is right or what is wrong without having a framework or a grounding in some sort of objective reality. And so this will assess your understanding of some of these premises and principles. Each of these questions is worth 10 points. And so this whole section will be valued at 50 points total. Now for the case study essay. As you can see, it is going to be between 500 to 750 words. And I'd like you to choose one of the following topics. Now, before we get into some of these topics, I just want to mention to you that I designed this course to be very practical. You know, it's one thing to have theoretical knowledge of theology, but it's another thing altogether to be able to apply them to the issues of the day. And so you'll see as the course progresses that our um, discussion questions are going to be very practical. Uh, our written assignments are going to be very practical. And so each and every step of the way in this course, I'm going to ask you and expect you to apply it to where we are in the culture and in the state of moral theology today. So you can see the first um, topic that you could choose from is assisted suicide. Um, and we're going to be talking about situation ethics, utilitarianism, proportionalism, and natural law throughout the course. And it's going to be helpful to you to be able to take this issue of assisted suicide and look at it from those various vantage points. The second topic you could choose from is preemptive surgery following genetic testing results. Now, a lot of people go into genetic testing to see where, if they have genes that say, or predispose you to breast cancer or to this or to that. And the issue becomes now, how do we preempt all those issues from happening to us? Is it permissible for us to be able to have surgery that will cause us not to have to suffer from that particular illness? And so we'll discuss that as we move forward in the course. The death penalty is a third option that you could use, and there's a lot of movement in the issue of the death penalty, and we'll talk about that as we go forward. But we have to come to terms with consistency in ethical thought. And so we need to kind of balance that with our pro-life, you know, stance of being against abortion, being against euthanasia. Does that square with the ideology that says we could put a criminal to death? The Vatican has made statements that we'll see as we move on that will bring us to some conclusions for today. And the following is this whole understanding of same-sex marriage. That's a big issue today. You know, how do we address that in our hearts? How do we deal with that? How do we look at that in light of God's plan for um, marriage and the human person? You know, we need to examine complementarity. We need to examine all those things. And so these four seem to me to be the preeminent issues that we have to start now to come to terms with, so that when the time comes, or when the opportunity knocks on our door, we have a language and we have a framework for answering, those questions that come to us, or those um, possibilities that we're faced with all the time. So this is how you're going to be graded on this case study. You can see there's three pieces to this. Critical thinking and sound reasoning. You have to be able to take what you've learned in the videos and the lectures and all the discussion, but you have to now start to be able to apply it, as we said before. The reasoning has to be sound. In the culture today, we can't just make a statement without having anything to back it up. And people will pick that out, that you're making a statement, you have nothing to back it out, and they will come at you. And the goal here is to be able to think critically about the issue based on everything that we've been learning and be reading and be viewing, and now come to a conclusion, but provide a sound reason for that. People will listen to arguments that are reasoned through, that are logical, and that make sense. How are your arguments against this, that, or the other thing making sense to the person that you're speaking to? And in order to do that, we need to have our ducks lined up. We have to do the research. We have to understand the research. We have to study the research. We have to have all these things so that we can, in fact, come to a reason, to sound reasoning in a conclusion that will make sense. Look, people aren't going to necessarily stop their belief system or change their behavior because of a great argument that you've given them. However, it'll stop them in their tracks, so to speak, so that they could at least think about it. All we want them to do is to think about what they're doing and what they're advocating for. And if we could be convincing in that, then we've done our job. That's why this third piece, even though it's only 10 points out of 50, how do we communicate this properly? We sometimes don't know how to communicate. And part of all of this is to have the written skills, if we're writing this out, or the communication skills if we're speaking it to someone. There's a fine line between speaking the truth in love and speaking the truth. We must always speak the truth, but we must also speak the truth in love. And so, I'm going to be looking for evidence that you're making a clear and concise decision or opinion on this thing, but I want you to be able to write it in a way that somebody else who doesn't know you, as I will come to know you, could make sense and understand what you're trying to say. I had many years ago a student who was writing me an essay on a particular topic, and the way she wrote the topic out in her paper brought me to a conclusion that was different than what I knew she was trying to say to me. And I said to her, I know you. I know what you're trying to get to say. I know what you mean by this. But this paper could be read by somebody who does not know you academically as I do. They will come to a completely different conclusion than what you meant to say. So I asked her to go back and rewrite it with that in mind. And it wasn't a punitive thing. It was a way to hone into her the fact that somebody is going to read your opinion about something and they won't know you as I know them. And now it's going to be important to convince a stranger. And the only way we do that is to be able to put together a paper, put together a statement, a verbal statement, a written statement, opinion that can be read by people and you know exactly what they're talking about. And there is no possibility for them to move in a direction that you're not intending them to go. So this is very important. And and I think that a case study as the ones that we were um, speaking about in the last slide will help you to hone in those skills. Because the bottom line is you're only going to be with me for 8 weeks. And now's the time for you to go out and to apply. And these 3 rubrics, I think, will help you do that. Okay, some closing thoughts. First, I don't need to know what topic you choose. You don't have to, send me an email, Professor Bozo, I'm going to choose this, that, or the other thing. I don't really need to know that. You may find that you'll pick one next week and then stick with it. You may change your mind a couple times. It's totally up to you. It doesn't really matter to me at all. Each of the topics correspond to a specific week of the course, in particular week 3, week 5, week 7, and week 8. Those will provide you everything that you need to know. Those videos, I would recommend that you view the videos specific to each of those weeks. That will help you greatly. You'll benefit from all of that. And what you see in those 5 topics isn't going to be the actual scenario or the study that I want you to deal with. I will provide you a scenario. I will provide you a specific case study that will allow you to take the information from those specific weeks and apply them in a way that's pertinent to the specific scenario that I give you. So there's much more to come, and you will enjoy this greatly, and I will enjoy reading them. So thank you for taking part in all this, for and entering into this journey together. May God bless you. He will bless you abundantly and bless me in the process. So thank you very much, folks, and I will see you soon.